Well, safe to say the curse of the Jets lives on, and I'm experiencing severe deja vu. This meme completely explains how me and all Jets fans are currently feeling. But we'll get back to that later, because if you're a Jets fan like me, you know this isn't the first time something like this has happened to us. Let's take a rewind and talk about the cursed history of the New York Jets. This all starts back in 1969 in Super Bowl III. The Jets were playing the Baltimore Colts. Joe Namath guaranteed a win before this game even started, and the Jets were able to come away with a hard-fought victory, 16-7, despite a shaky performance from Namath. Now you might ask, how does this start a curse? The Jets won a Super Bowl. Well, let's just say Namath must have sold his soul for that win, because seemingly nothing has gone right for the Jets since that fateful day in 1969. Our first stop on this journey comes in 1983. The Jets had just made the AFC Championship game the previous season and were looking for a QB to challenge Richard Todd, the current starter who had a poor performance in the championship game. They had pick 24 in the draft, and luckily for them, pick quarterback Dan Marino fell right into their lap. But instead, in perfect Jets fashion, they took quarterback Ken O'Brien, a Division II quarterback out of Cal Davis. Now, O'Brien wasn't bad for the Jets, making 2 Pro Bowls in 8 seasons with the team, but I'm sure everyone, including me, would rather have had Hall of Fame, 9-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, MVP QB Dan Marino. But, it's the Jets. Passing on Hall of Fame quarterbacks is just something we do. Let's move on to the 1999 season. The Jets once again had made the AFC Championship the year prior, and Vinny Testaverde, the current quarterback, was 36, coming off arguably his best season as a pro with a 12-1 record and a Pro Bowl appearance for New York. And the Jets were the 4th favorite to win the Super Bowl that year. But here's where the deja vu rears its ugly head. In the first game of the season against the Patriots in the second quarter, Vinny Testaverde ruptured his Achilles and was out for the season, and was never the same again. This seems extremely familiar, but we're not there yet. Just 6 years later, in 2005, the Jets were once again coming off a solid playoff run in 2004, where they missed out on an AFC Championship appearance by a field goal. But the Jets were excited about the 2005 season. They had Chad Pennington, who had a solid season the year prior, and they signed experienced backup Jay Fielder in the offseason. But just when you think things are looking up for the Jets, the curse rears its ugly head once again. In Game 3 of the season against the Jags in the third quarter, Pennington went down with a shoulder injury, which eventually ended his season. But the pain wasn't over for Jets fans just yet. In that same quarter, backup Jay Fielder also went down with a shoulder injury, ending his season as well. Losing your starter and backup in the same quarter, you'd think that'd be the worst it gets. But no. A couple seasons later, the Jets released Pennington thinking he was washed and his career would fizzle out. Little did they know, he would have a near MVP season in 2008 with division rival the Miami Dolphins, and proceeded to knock the Jets out of a playoff spot by beating them in Week 17 of that year. You simply just can't make this up. Then, there's of course that 2008 season where Brett Favre, former Green Bay legend, was the starting quarterback, and the Jets were 8-3 and looking poised for a playoff run. But of course, the Jets would go 1-4 over the last 5 games, with Favre performing horribly to the tune of 2 touchdowns and 9 picks. The Jets would miss the playoffs, and it was discovered that Favre had a torn bicep in those last 5 games, which caused a poor performance. Favre then retired, and the Jets went on to draft Mark Sanchez. But then, he unretired and had a great comeback season with the Vikings, leading them to a 12-4 record and a conference championship game. Now we come to that moment last night. The curse hadn't come back to haunt us for years, besides the infamous butt fumble in 2012, but here we are. Jets are once again poised for a good season with a former Hall of Fame bound Packers quarterback, and what happens? Injured 4 plays into the season with a ruptured Achilles, just like Testaverde in 99. The Jets' curse of 66 years continues to live on with no end in sight. Will Rodgers come back and play for the Jets next season? That remains a looming question for all Jets fans currently. Now I ask all of you, will this curse ever end for the Jets, or are they just bound to mediocrity until the end of time? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.